morning, Springton Lake. Today is Friday, September 10th, 2021. Today is a day 7-1. At this time, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy Friday, everyone! Yes, it's Friday already. Can you believe it? I hope that you're all ready to finish out the week on a strong and positive note. This morning, before we begin with our typical announcements, I wanted to take a moment to observe and recognize a significant but extremely sad moment in our nation's history. Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks that were carried out against multiple targets in the United States. And while this event occurred well before you were born, September 11th, 2001 will forever be a day that is remembered for the impact that it had on countless individuals, families, and our nation as a whole. The attacks on New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania took the lives of nearly 3,000 people and altered so many aspects of our lives and the world in which we live. For my parents' generation, they'll never forget where they were and what they were doing when they received the news of President John F. Kennedy's assassination. For my generation, the same can be said of the September 11th attacks. For me, I was a fairly new assistant principal at the time, and hearing the initial news, everyone thought that a tragic accident had taken place when an airplane crashed into the World Trade Center. As I viewed the news in disbelief from my office at school, I watched as a second plane crashed into the south tower of the building. It was only then that the world began to realize that this was no accident, and instead it was an intentional act of terrorism against our country. The hours and days that followed this event were some of the most sad and impactful days of my life. It was impossible to imagine why anyone would want to inflict harm on others in such a significant way. It was equally hard to see how we could ever recover and how things could ever be the same again. Fortunately, we did not, and surprisingly, we did emerge from this tragedy stronger and united. In the face of disaster, we saw courage as first responders came to the rescue. We saw selflessness as strangers helped one another. We saw love and compassion as people from around the world sent cards and supplies and their prayers and good wishes. On the eve of this solemn anniversary, let's all remember all of those who were impacted directly by this tragedy. And let's celebrate and honor the heroism and service of those who stepped in to help. So this morning, please join me in a moment of silence in observance of the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. Thank you. And now for the rest of our announcements for today. Now, as I shared with you yesterday, today is our first day 7 of the school year, and it's a day 7-1. Be sure that you know where to go during your special area classes. Your music teachers should have reviewed this with you in advance of today. Now, if you're not sure where to go, ask one of your special area teachers or ask an administrator. We want to be sure everybody gets to the correct place. Now, the second important item about day 7, this means it is also an advisory day. Yes, our first advisory meeting of the school year. Now, the bell schedule for an advisory day is going to be different. So take a moment, check out the back cover of your student handbook. Advisory is an extra period that has been added to the schedule on a day 7 after 7th period CE. So again, I'm going to repeat that because this is different for our 7th and 8th grade students. You're still going to have period 7. And then after you go to CE, then you'll go to advisory. And again, all of the periods are a little bit shorter today because we're still ending at the same time. So this is how we're going to accomplish this extra period. Now, everyone should have received some type of communication in the mail from your advisor. Could have been a postcard, maybe a letter. 7th and 8th grade students, in most cases, your advisor is the same person as last year. Now, there are a few exceptions due to teachers retiring or moving buildings. If you're not sure of your advisor and their room number, ask an administrator at lunch for help. Don't wait until it's time to go to advisory. We want to be sure that everyone has this information, and no, it is not printed on your schedule, so don't look there. Ask for help if you need it. Next up this morning, we have a special message from our guidance department.
This is Ms. Howe.
This is Mrs. Gilroy.
And Miss Judge.
We have a special announcement for September 10th. It can feel scary and overwhelming when someone you love is experiencing a mental health crisis. Offering a listening ear and consistent support can be great ways you can show you care.
If you know a young person who is experiencing a mental health concern or crisis, help is available. Talk to your school counselor, parent, or a trusted adult.
Especially if someone shares thoughts of harming themselves or others, you are not alone.
Chromebook cases, gym shirts, and card magnets can all be purchased in the main office. If you need to pick up one of these items, stop by the office between classes or during your lunch period. And good news, size small gym shirts are now back in stock. Thank you to everyone for your respectful attention during our grade level meetings this year. It was great to be with you as a grade level in the auditorium and to be able to review some of our hopes and expectations for the school year. Despite the challenges that we're facing, I know we can still make this an awesome school year, particularly if you do your part. This includes following our health and safety plan, doing things like wearing your mask properly over your mouth and nose. It means being kind to one another and not making comments or statements that are hurtful, negative, or just downright mean. It means avoiding some of the excuses that we typically hear. Things like, "I was just kidding," or "I didn't mean anything by it." It means coming school ready every day with your charged Chromebook, arriving on time for school, and hey, keeping that cell phone off and away. It means getting involved and always putting forth your very best effort. Yes, it's all about the 4 R's. Ready, respectful, responsible, and resilient. And hey, I might not be a Mandalorian, and this might not be the Star Wars universe, but hey, here at Springton Lake, when it comes to the 4 R's, this is the way. Finally this morning, it's Friday, and yes, this means it's time for the Friday Funny. Now, in the cafeteria yesterday, a student asked me about the jokes for the Friday Funny. First, he asked me, where do we get the jokes? Well, I'm always looking for great school-appropriate jokes. So, do you have one that you think might be funny enough for the Friday Funny? If so, send them to me. You never know when you might hear it featured on the announcements. Then, that same student asked me, do you actually find your jokes funny? And my answer, yes. Yes, I do. So, here's what I have for you this week. Now, you've all heard of Albert Einstein, right? Everybody knows him. He was a genius. However, do you know anything about his younger brother, Frank? Well, he was a monster, of course. You know, Frank Einstein. What do cars spread on their toast? Traffic jam. Did you all hear about the new Lego store that is opening in media? Yeah, people are already lined up for blocks. I really do find my jokes funny. Admit it, you do too. Okay, Spartans, let's do this. Let's finish out the last day of our short week by following the 4 R's and by making today even better than yesterday. I hope that you all have an awesome weekend, and whatever you do, stay safe. This concludes our announcements for today. I thank you for your attention. And as always, let's make it a great day, or not. The choice is yours.